to this week's Fireside Chat with Jesse. I am joined today by Craig Colling, SVP of Sales at Ascentium Capital. Thanks for joining me, Craig.
Hey, it's a pleasure to be with you today, Jesse. Thanks for making the time.
No, it's great to have you on here, and it's nice that I can schedule one of these with somebody who's in the same state and time zone. Just makes it a lot easier.
Easier for both of us. Yeah, it's been good connecting with you and looking forward to visiting with you.
So thoughts when you schedule meetings, because I believe your main headquarters is in New Hampshire. And then when you have the recurring meetings, because we're a special state and we don't change.
There's no joy in it. So the Regions Bank headquarters is Birmingham. We've got a large presence in New Hampshire, and so I'll get calendar invites for 6:30 a.m. and you just accept them with a smile and drink the coffee for those morning chats, internal calls or external too.
Yeah, well, at least 6:30. That's nice. At least that's an extra hour that I get sometimes where it's like. It's 5:30 in the morning, right? But the sun's up at 4:30 anyway, so who cares?
You just roll with the punches, brew the coffee, and get after it. Exactly. Yeah. And it works both ways, right? Sometimes I'll throw a calendar invite out at 3 p.m. Pacific, and I get on the East Coast. What are you doing to us, Craig? So it does balance. The pendulum does swing back and forth a little bit there.
So. Oh, I guess okay. So you're not going to accept the meeting. So I guess I'm done.
Yeah, we'll call it a day. We'll call it a day at 3.
Yeah.
Well,
awesome, Craig. Well, it's great having you on here, man. For the people who haven't had the fortune of meeting you yet, do you mind just kind of introducing yourself and your career to date in equipment finance?
Yeah, and again, Jesse, really appreciate you having me on the Fireside Chat. So, again, my name is Craig Colling. I'm an SVP at Ascentium Capital. I started in the industry in 2001. So I started right out of college at the ripe old age of 21 for a boutique firm at the time. Many years with a small equipment leasing brokerage. Great experience there, by the way. But about 6 years ago, I was joined Ascentium Capital to start a new office in Scottsdale, Arizona. My role has been player coach. So I've been hiring and managing a team of vendor sales professionals and also maintaining and growing my vendor and customer book as well. It's been a great nearly 6 years with Ascentium, and now we're a division of Regions Bank. We were acquired by Regions Bank, which is a publicly traded bank headquartered out of Birmingham, Alabama. They acquired us in April of 20. Coincidentally, that was really at the start and then the height of COVID. That was an interesting time for all of us. It was the Ascentium prior to the acquisition was booming, and we were the largest privately held independent in the U.S. But it's been great. The bank's been great to have behind us for a variety of reasons, which I'm sure we'll talk about. But no, so I've been in the industry. This is my 23rd year in the industry. What I love about what I do is you learn something every. This business keeps you humble, whether you're engaged with vendors and or customers, negotiating contracts, negotiating pricing. And you learn a lot about a lot of different industries. We finance everything from waste trucks to software technology and solar panels on buildings. So we're a generalist by design, which has its both pros and cons. But I like that about the business is you learn a lot about a lot of different industries and meet a lot of great people. So and a little bit more about myself. I live and work in. The office is in Scottsdale, Arizona. I live in Phoenix, just a few miles west of the office, and married, 2 kids. So when I'm not talking about equipment financing, I'm raising a family and coaching sports. So busy life. So
that's fair. That's awesome. Well, thank you for that introduction to yourself and Ascentium. One of the questions I was going to have, going back to April of 2020, you guys have always been a high throughput, small ticket shop, right? Churn, burn deals, just cranking out the volume. Being acquired by a bank, is there a little kind of nervousness where you're just like, oh man,
Yeah. So at the time, you don't know what you don't know. So it was. It's a great question. There was never any when we were acquired by Regions Bank. There was no action or activity that was from the bank side that was scary or painful. It was just like any human experience. Anytime there's change or there's nervousness in change. So we were used to doing business a certain way, and our value proposition, which has remained very similar, even with the bank behind us, is technology-driven speed. I mean, being able to take a customer credit application at 9 a.m. up to $400,000 app only, and in many instances, most instances, approve, document, and fund that deal same day. And that's in my opinion, that not that other lenders can't do that, and I'm sure many claim that, but we really do it day in, day out. And so again, to your question, that was maybe call it the fears. Are they going to change our credit box? Are they going to change our speed or processing of transactions? And high level, without getting into specifics, really the only major change we've incurred is a positive one: lower cost of funds. And you don't hear that a lot right now in
how do you go wrong with that?
Right? But going from a private independent, to securing our funds and cost of capital through securitization versus now bank cost of funds, even with bank cost of funds up, the rates are down from where they certainly were and where they would be today. So it's been great. They understand our business. Regions Bank understands how we do business. They understood. They wanted to keep many things the same that differentiate us in the marketplace. Again, primarily good people. I mean, I guess I'm biased, right? I'm one of the people, but good people that work hard with good products. And what's really unique about Ascentium, and I coming from a brokerage, I was with a boutique firm prior to joining Ascentium, was when I was and I have personal friends that are lease finance brokers today, so we share war stories, we share what's pros and cons on both sides. When you're a broker, you kind of do everything, right? You call on vendors, you do the deals, you do everything, and you're selling yourself a lot, right? In addition to your firm. What's really, I think, unique about Ascentium is we're very strategic in how we do business. We have a vendor group that focuses on engaging, working with OEMs and dealers and resellers to try to create programmatic relationships. And that's really my role in a leadership role, is leading a team that does that. And then we have another group, which it's called our direct sales, but it's really, it's a complement. It's our inside sales team that calls on our hundreds of thousands of customers, to create repeat business. So you have two armies of great people working together, and it's synergistic. How the two groups work together, and it's unique, and it works for us. So but my specific focus and knowledge is more so on the vendor side of relationship development, and help my team and coach my team to create those relationships and hopefully maintain them. So.
Oh, perfect. And then also from a region's perspective, I'm pretty sure they were more middle or large ticket players anyways than equipment finance before. So obviously that wasn't Ascentium of the past. So it kind of opens the door to some of those bigger transactions, I'm sure, that you guys probably were just turning down or having to refer to somebody else.
Yeah, we have the ability, even being bank owned today, have the ability to work through syndication channels for deals that don't fit our credit window, whether it's credit driven or transactional size driven. We always had, even pre-Regions acquisition, we have a credit team internally that would underwrite large deals. But to your point, having the 11th largest bank in the country from a balance sheet perspective behind us, yeah, when we do get a request for $2 million, we don't have to look too far of where to place it, right? It's internal, through their own bank and bank cost of funds. So yes, that does. I will tell you though, even with that, that being empowered by that, it hasn't really changed necessarily our business strategy of which types of vendors and customers. I mean, I would say even today, our average transaction size, and don't hold me to the dollar, but probably is around $100,000. So we still are very much focused on, writing a lot of transactions for a lot of customers with good rates, and and we have over, I think, 200,000 clients through Ascentium today. And the other part of the Regions aspect to put in perspective is, prior to Ascentium being acquired, the bank has their pool of customers, right, and potential vendors that we can now help them with the Ascentium products, right? So we're investing and exploring that, which will only hopefully help us grow, right? Help the bank customers.
Sure.
That's what it's all about. So
no, absolutely. So being in sales and with the volume that you guys do, from a technology perspective, I the legacy company before Ascentium, I think was one of I think they were my fifth customer that I ever had in equipment finance back in 2008.
nice.
So I'm familiar with the organization. Love going to Portsmouth. Beautiful place.
It is.
Great seafood. But I know that the company was always investing in technology, especially on the origination side. What has been your kind of experience with that, Craig, and how does that assist you in your sales life cycle?
Yeah, that was probably the biggest change for me when I went from a smaller boutique leasing firm to Ascentium. I didn't know what I didn't know. I just wanted to take on the challenge and learn and grow professionally. And within a week or two in the job, and applications started coming in from however they come in, right? Repeat clients through the Ascentium or vendor referrals, and just being absolutely shocked at receiving an application at 9 a.m. and having approval by 9:12 a.m. And then through systems, through internal CRM and systems, being able to, as the sales rep, generate quotes, of course it's systematic. It's not the human being typing in drafting a contract, but just systematically being able to go to docs in minutes. And then my old life, this is very common for any broker.
Hey, this is the rule, not the exception.
Right. I was used to,
especially in equipment finance.
Yeah, I was used to 7 conditions you had to clear before funding, and it was no, we just funded the deal. I'm like, what? What do you mean? Don't we have more to do here? So and again, technology drives and continues to drive that speed. And listen, every equipment lender will talk about that they're on the cutting edge of technology, but again, living it it's a great experience for the employee, but also the vendor and the customer, right? I mean,
Sure.
I mean, does the vendor or the customer truly care about your internal processes or technology? They don't. The vendor cares about getting his check, and the customer cares about getting their equipment. So the faster you can do that, the better. And then sticking with the topic of technology for Ascentium, but it's also how the people behind the technology react and work together. So this, pre-regions and now regions owning Ascentium, it's still the same process. We are, in many finance companies, it's called your funding department, your credit department. It's just very extremely supportive of the salesperson, advising them what they need to help them get a deal approved or get an exception made, credit exception, rate exception, term exception. The word I use a lot, even when I talk to vendors and customers, I'll share with you too, Jesse, is for salespeople, it's empowering. It's when you work for the actual funding source as opposed to being an intermediary. Yes, sure, you're not the final decision maker as the sales rep, but you do feel empowered to help your customer and listen to their story, or maybe get some additional financial data to get an exception to meet their or exceed their expectations. And that's been the most fun, and then there's real life examples. I mean, being at a trade show and the last hour of a trade show at 4:00 on a Friday, and a vendor races up, "Hey, I need this deal done before the show ends, or else," right? The sky's gonna fall. If you don't do this deal, or else, right? And you actually get it done, and not because you're a super salesman, but because it's the technology behind your company. And then, of course, you look like the hero. So it's been very rewarding, in my don't go to as many shows these days, but when I first started, I went to a lot of trade shows and a lot of those experiences, which was neat. So
hey, give yourself some credit, man. They came up to you. They didn't go up to somebody else.
I'll take it. Maybe it was because our booth was next to theirs, but I'll take it as a compliment, right? No, I'm kidding.
That's awesome. And what I said before, it was the rule, not the exception. It's amazing now that I'm on the consulting side. As you dig in, I mean, I knew some of it selling software and always being a service provider. You're like, what is going on? Like, you have this folder, and the folder has to go from point A to point B, and it's like these stacks of folders, and you're just like, what is this nonsense?
Correct. A mountain of paperwork. So yeah, I mean, I used to have yellow files, manila files all over my desk. I haven't seen them in manila file in a couple of years. It's been nice. Never want to see one again, right? It's all technology.
Nope, that's fair. And as far as like people being on the cutting edge of technology, I think in this industry, they think that's e-signing. Yeah, we e-sign.
Right. That's
that's only because of COVID.
Yeah, there's a lot of, obviously COVID was terrible in most, if not all aspects, but there were some silver linings, right? I mean, the way we're conversing today, right, through WebEx or Teams, it's been nice. It's actually a limited. Yes, we still attend and exhibit a ton of conferences, and there's definitely benefit of in-person gatherings, no question, making human connections, but there is efficiency, right? Just being able to jump on a Teams or a WebEx and chat, which we're doing today, you and I. So
absolutely. Well, thank you for that. I'm going to shift gears a little bit to the Emerging Talent Advisory Committee, rather known as ETAC. Congrats for being on that. And I think by the time this airs, Emergence 2023 will be kicking off.
Yes.
So let's talk about what it was like, what it means to you, Craig, to be on that, and what's coming up with Emergence.
Yeah, so I was asked to serve about a year ago to join ETAC, which stands for Emerging Talent Advisory Council. And really what we do and what we stand for, we're a resource for emerging talent in the marketplace, from the ELFA, the Equipment Leasing and Finance Association. I'm sure most that will watch this know all about or know about ELFA. And so what ETAC does is it works through its members to put on an annual event. It's called Emergence. It's coming up. I think I have the dates pretty handy here. Yeah, just next 8-9 days, July 13th and 14th. It's in Baltimore, Maryland. I'll be there. I'm actually speaking at it. One of many speakers at the event. And what Emergence is a 2-day leadership program for emerging talent from ELFA member companies. And so, I would encourage anyone listening or watching, if you just want to network, meet other fellow like-minded professionals in the industry, and emerging talent implies younger talent, but I disagree. I think it's anyone of any age that just wants to network with people that are high energy, excited about the industry, wanting to learn, grow, impact others. It's just going to be obviously it'll be educational, but it's going to be a lot of like-minded people together, hanging out and learning about each other's careers. I'm speaking on a panel regarding further education. I have my CLFP certification. I serve on the CLFP board, which I'm proud to do that as well. And myself and another panelist has her MBA. Another panelist has their stripes accreditation. That word I always butcher that word.
I think it's accreditation, but don't worry about it. It's like aluminum, cinnamon, like all those things.
So basically, a few of us with different accreditations. Just shooting the breeze, but sharing our experiences, are why we sought that. Whether it was the MBA or continued education, how it's impacted our careers. And why we're passionate about it, why we want to talk about it. So I'll be there in Baltimore for a couple of days with a bunch of great people, and so it's been a pleasure, being. And I will say, is I'm in my 40s now. Is when I was younger, I had less concern about being involved with associations, and it was just more focused on my sales and sales life. I'll share this to anyone that's where I was at career-wise, of just I don't need that stuff. I'm just going to focus on sales and revenue, and I get it. I mean, I'm still a salesperson at my core, but you're missing out. I mean, you're missing out on just knowing and networking with like-minded people that want to help others, and it's a good experience just to network with those that care about the industry, want to grow themselves professionally and personally. So I really encourage others that are on the fence about getting involved. And by the way, getting involved doesn't mean you have to get your stripes and your MBA and or your CLFP. It means you could just serve on a committee and or engage LFA to learn about some event local in your city, if you wherever you live, and just meet others. So that's just a humble words of encouragement to those that are not involved but have a remote interest in getting involved more in the industry.
Yeah, I was always kind of confused on the definition of emerging talent, where it was like, what is that, like in your 20s, in your 30s? Like at what point, like if you're in your 40s, when you're approached, you're like, did I not emerge? Like, what?
Correct. At what age am I no longer emerging? I'm now diving back into the abyss. I don't know. But no, I just view it. I view it as more of a mindset as opposed to an age demographic.
Yeah.
Just if you,
I just can't help myself. This is just like,
I love it. Now we're both around the. I know we've joked about it. We're about the same age, so we can joke about wishing we were back in our 20s, right? No, it's good.
No, that's awesome. And if people want to be, if they want to get involved, who do they reach out to, Craig?
Sure. Yeah. So, I mean, for Emergence, and maybe I could share a link that you can maybe post. I mean, there's a registration. Absolutely. There's a specific registration link for Emergence. My involvement with CLFP, clfpfoundation.org.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because Reed gets very upset when I'm interviewing a CLFP and I don't bring it up. So thank you.
I will. I'm happy to help you. Let's both keep our friend Reed happy. She's a great person and does a lot for our industry, as we both well know. And then in all seriousness, anyone listening or watching, they could always, of course, just engage you or I, right? And hey, how do I learn more about ELFA, or is my company even registered with ELFA, right? I mean, they can contact ELFA, or I could at least, if I don't have the answer, I'm not the end all be all, but I would at least steer them to the right person if I knew who it was. So just always happy to lend a hand and help out anyone watching, listening. But again, to your point about, I know we joked about emerging talent and what age that is, but the reality of it is that there's only so many hours in the day, right? Most of us have families or busy personal lives and work, and then so it's like, I understand the mindset is, where do I have time for this additional networking, or is this just more volunteerism? I just challenge the listener to, what's your mindset? Is it all about you, or do you want to help others? Because when I have found is when you help others, it comes back many times over. But you got to experience that yourself to maybe believe it. So
it's just one thing that rings true to this industry is you get in what you get out what you put in, I guess is probably the best way of phrasing it.
Well said.
And it's like, how do we grow the next generation to secure kind of the stuff that we've been kind of handed, for lack of better terms?
Yeah. So, yeah. How do we further the industry, right? And improve collectively.
I don't know if that necessarily means me being up and educating people, because that's probably not, my necessary skill set. I can put the right people in the room, but I'll stick to my lane.
Jesse, I joke with my team all the time. If I'm the dumbest person in the room, I won. My job is to get the better people around me to help us figure out and solve problems. And so, not implying you're the dumbest person in the room today or any room.
Hey, it's okay. I'm the only one in my room, I think.
Fair enough.
I'm good. Good.
Love it.
You mentioned something on there. The whole work-life balance, being a father, a couple children, assuming our kids are probably the same age. Navigating that. I mean, COVID. Good luck trying to get some work done. Like, now summertime. Good luck. Open the doors, whatever else, if they're not at camps, and you're just like, especially sales, right? And you're across the country. So while you said you're not attending as many trade shows, I'm still sure you still travel.
Yes.
Like, how do you maintain any tips and tricks for work-life balance, Craig?
Yeah, I have a lot to share on that topic. So my son is about to turn 11, I'm married. My wife and our son's about 11, almost 11 in a couple weeks, and our daughter's 9. And I'll start by criticizing myself, but I want people watching to learn from maybe my earlier mistakes in terms of not having balance, and how I found it and why I strongly encourage it. So I was 20s early until we had children. I didn't have our first child until I think I was 32 years old. So from age 21, 22 to age 32, no babies, wife at the time, late 20s, but just worked, just was obsessed with work, wanted to better myself, generate more revenue for myself and my family. And that's all that, that I was obsessed with it. I love the industry, and I loved working hard, and the out, the income potential from that. So then, babies come along, and, I was blessed that my wife wanted to, and she could stay home with the kids. So we had this divide and conquer mindset of, I would work during the day, and then of course evenings, I'd be more involved. Well, what happens is when my kids hit around 3, 4, 5 years old, they want time with dad and more time with mom and dad, not just mom, right? And so I had to make a life choice. And so part of it is gratitude towards Ascentium. Part of it's the role I was in. But I just chose to, and COVID was, a big part of this too. The travel just stopped, right? For better of 2 years.
Sure.
And that was a blessing, because pre-COVID, I was still traveling quite a bit. And then what we realized, Ascentium's sales volume and my own personal team's volume really didn't skip a beat. We didn't lose, at least to our knowledge, market share or revenues through that. So scratching our heads, wait a minute, we're generating more revenue, and I'm not on the road every third week, sitting in Las Vegas hotel rooms, sleeping in hotel beds. And so from that point forward, I just strategically changed my travel strategy. And my takeaways and my thoughts to those listening is, you cannot be everything to everyone. Just because a vendor or customer says, quote unquote, I need you in Florida this week or else, maybe that's not necessarily the best partner, or else, right? I mean, there's
a way of putting it. Yeah.
So maybe, you have to pick your spots. I'm obviously speaking high level and very general, for obvious reasons, but so do you still have to go to some conferences? Yes, but do you have to go to 6 or 7 of the same conferences to say the same people every 2 months? Probably not. So it's just being maybe a little bit smarter with your time. And then valuing your family. I mean, I have a younger brother, 2 years younger. Him and I have kids the same age. We talk about, like, we only have 6, 7, 8 years left before the kids are, even if they're not out of the house, they're teenagers and driving and have a job, or where, like, they don't need mom and dad as much in terms of day to day. So, like, what I'm not saying is, hey, stop traveling and never travel again. I'm sharing this is a season of life, having a young family, and just be maybe more strategic with your time, knowing that I'll blink and I'm 43 by the time I'm 50, 51, 52. If I needed to be back on the road more, I could be, because I wouldn't be. So that's my takeaway. And I'm grateful. This is going to sound strange, but in many ways for that, I'm grateful for COVID personally, like in terms of it was an epiphany to the way I was working, and, and that change that happened.
No, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, Jeremy's 14 and Rory's 5. So we have a little bit of a gap there. But, I missed some of that earlier stuff with him that I got to experience with her. But now it's like going and consulting. It's like, okay, I need you here. I need you here. And it's like, okay, what do I truly have to be at? And what is this effective? But one of the issues is just me and my personality. Like, I'd prefer to be on site with somebody just to truly understand the root cause of what's going on. And it's hard, as much as this right here, if there was a 5-call close before, I still think this, from a sales perspective, it expedites the process, because we can do so many things and better qualify, I would think, over a Zoom to see is this worth me jumping on a plane for?
Right. And I appreciate what you just said there too, because I didn't probably communicate the fact that meeting new people in our industry is fun and great. It's just unfortunately with a family that, for you and I both, that's the higher priority. It's not that we lost the enjoyment of connecting with other great professionals. It's just,
I mean, my liver loves me when I don't travel. Trust me, it's perfectly fine.
Yeah, it's oddly, my health has improved the last couple of years when I haven't been traveling as much. I can't figure out why, but I'm not eating as many ribeyes and cocktails, I guess. But that's good. That's funny.
Well, that's awesome. Well, Craig, I ask everyone who comes on this program to give me a little fun fact, about themselves. So, what makes you tick outside of, being an SVP at Ascentium?
Yeah, so it's evolved through the years, but I would say the last couple of years, I have become, I'm obsessed with coaching youth sports. I've coached Little League Baseball. I've been coaching flag football for over 5 years. And the coolest part about it is, well, number one is the connection with my own son and his buddies who I coach. But working with good kids and everything that goes along with team sports, which I think is there's so many life lessons through sports, team sports, that you can teach kids about life. It's helped me in my job, to be candid, just working with kids and understanding what makes them tick, and then working with adults and what makes them tick. And it's almost like both lives. There's a lot of parallels. And so I guess what I've realized about myself is I really do enjoy coaching and helping people, and it's not because I slam my table on the desk and need to be the leader. It's more of servant leadership of how can I help you get better at what you do. So that's something about me. And the other thing is the last couple of years, I've gotten really into pickleball. I play pickleball like 4 times a week. At first I'm like, this is like a weird ping pong tennis hybrid. But I play a lot. I love it. I play in leagues, and it keeps me active. Very social too. I mean, I enjoy golf as well, but golf takes 5-6 hours. And we've just talked about the kids stuff. Having young families, it's tough to be gone for 6 hours on a Saturday, but you can knock out a bunch of pickleball games in 90 minutes, 2 hours max. And you're back in one piece, and the family didn't even know you were gone, so.
That's fantastic. I think James Kress, or was it Eric Gross? One of those two gentlemen started a pickleball tournament at the executive roundtable. So don't be surprised if at the ELFA annual this year, if that sneaks up along with the tennis, which is kind of like, hey, you're taking some golfers out of this thing. Come on now. Come on.
I'll be the guy that brings his own racket ready for battle. So I look forward to that event. That'd be great. That'd be great.
Well, hopefully they have it at a different time, or it's not competing, so I can sit there and heckle people, because why not? Right.
I enjoy a good heckle. Keeps everyone on their toes. Right? It's good.
So like I coached my son through Little League and everything, and right now I just kind of help out here and there. It's just nice to just get out there and just watch them compete. But what are your thoughts on when they look at you? Because that was the hardest part about me, where it's like, look, I'm not playing daddy ball. Like I was harder on him than I was on anyone else. Just I think that's the way I was raised.
Me too. And so my father was actually, just coincidentally, I'll share with you on this discussion. My dad was in computer leasing, so I grew up with a dad in leasing, and so my dad's still alive and well. We're still buddies, very close. He didn't. This is pre Zoom and pre WebEx. He really couldn't coach many of my teams just because he was pinned to the office till 5, 6 at night.
Sure.
And so that's something, don't hold it against him. It was his career, but I wanted to do it for my kid. To answer your question, I strategize. You always have an assistant coach, right? Or a couple assistant coaches. I say it takes a village. So when I need to coach up my son, I actually have my assistant coach challenge my son, and then I challenge the other guy's son. Because you're right, they don't. You get off the field and you're driving home, and they love you and respect you, but they don't on the field. I just think that it doesn't resonate, or you're dad to them. To your point, So that's my way of doing it. Of course, there's times where you have to challenge them and challenge the team, or just like in business, I encourage publicly and I challenge or give constructive feedback privately. So maybe on that car ride home, I'll give them a little pointer here or there. But no, it's a real challenge. I definitely something that I struggle with, because you do, let's be real, your own son or daughter, depending on what you're coaching, you have this insane desire for them to succeed, right? And to be
sure.
Not that I joke with my son, though. I say, hey son, you're more likely to be an accountant than a professional ball player, because he thinks he's going to be a pro football player. I'm like, well, your dad's 5'10" and your mom's 5'2", and I could barely make a high school football team. So you're probably better off getting your CLFP in high school at this point.
Nice. I see what you did there.
Yeah, nice. You get plugged in. There you go, Reed. That one's for Reed.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, it's just like it's like as soon as you step on that field, I'm no longer your dad, I'm your coach. And you are a ball player, you're not my son. And it's just trying to, it's interesting though.
It is. Well, and hey, going back to the comment about like chapters of life or seasons of life, the reason why I've kind of embraced it is I know in 5 minutes it's over, right? He'll be in.
Oh, well, absolutely. It's like, and his little league career was cut short because of COVID.
Right.
So we were supposed to go to Cooperstown, and then New York put that like vaccine mandate in there, and that axed that. So there's all these things that he couldn't do because of how it fell.
Right.
And now it's like the school team, it's like, hey, do you want to help a little bit? And I'm like, sure. Like, it's fun, right? You get to go out and be a kid again.
It is. You do relive your own childhood a bit, right? When you're on the field with the kids and you're teaching them stuff, you're like, I remember doing that back in the 80s or early 90s, depending on, right, for us, how old we were. So no, it's very rewarding. And like you said, going back to the question, just work-life balance, it's never perfect. We're all just doing our best. And also there's, with work, I mean, hey, for a lot of us, we're in a recessionary period or in higher rate environment in the dead of summer. Well, maybe this is the right time to spend a little bit more time with family, because things aren't going bonkers. And when things are crazy, and in December Q4, when every business is barking for their Section 179 deduction, maybe that's when you spend a little bit more time at work, or so it's got to pick your spots. You're right.
That's fair.
So.
That's fair. Well, Craig, my last question I have for you is, at the end of the day, why do business with Craig Colling and Ascentium Capital?
Thank you for that. The main reason is, and this may sound a little corny, but I don't care, is we actually really do care. We ask questions to get to know you and your business and what makes you tick. We do what we say and say what we do. Everything's done ethically in the right way. I take pride in that. And there's a lot of lenders out there. So it's just a matter of who you connect with, who you like talking to. And yes, it's business, but it can be personal in the sense that you become maybe not friends, but friendly. You enjoy doing business with that person. So that's my goal, is just to treat everyone I engage in business as if they were my neighbor, or my friend, give them the truth. Sometimes the truth is ugly too, right? Hey, your credit's bad, or we can't approve you, or the cost of capital is more expensive for these reasons. But that dialogue is real, and then trust is earned though every day. So I would just say in summary, I've been doing this 23 years for a reason. I really enjoy it. I like people. I like helping people, and I hope to be doing it for a lot more years to come.
Well, excellent. Well, I appreciate your time today, Craig. It's good seeing you. And hopefully our paths cross somewhere here in Arizona before they cross somewhere else in the country.
I agree. I do look forward to that Cardinals game. Maybe we'll get a couple wins this season, but probably not too many, Jesse. I think we're gonna have a tough season.
As long as they don't win the home opener, I don't care. They can win the rest of their games. It's fine.
16-1. I won't go to Vegas with that bet. More like 1-16 this year.
All right, Craig. You have a good day, man. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Appreciate you too. Thanks, Jesse.